Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
All right, everybody, it's Friday night. That means Johnny Danger is going to do some stupid things and blow his whole bankroll that we've built up over the last few weeks, Coach, on a 4-game night slate tonight. That's what I'm going to do.
That's dangerous, man.
That's the only way I know how to play.
I saw you screenshot how much you're playing, and you haven't lost a single college football slate this season. And then you go and throw it away on a Friday night slate when coaches don't ever tell us who's going to actually play or not.
That's right. Man, I haven't even got dressed today. I don't even have my hat on, man. This is all I've been doing, staring at these players, waiting for the coach to set me straight, let me tell you.
Yeah, man. Well, hopefully we can get you a good player pool rolling and some guaranteed plays in there. And then I'm sure we'll have a dart throw here and there that who knows if they show up or not. Let's do it. Let's open up the slate and get into it.
Well, I'm going to put it up on the screen. Don't know if you can see it there properly.
Yeah, but I can.
But there it is. Don't let the $1 fool you. In my account, literally, the whole thing is on the games waiting to play tonight. It's already been pre-established. The contests are all full, Coach. I can't even pull them out if I wanted to.
Well, that shows you that college football's got the following we want. They just need to start putting in some better contests. We had that conversation last Saturday.
We did.
Honestly,
all right,
man.
Look, you know how I feel. I know where you live. It's Wolfpack time, baby. Tell me about the Wolfpack.
Yeah, so, the Wolfpack's a pretty simple team to digest. It just starts with Brennan Armstrong, and he, transferred from Virginia, so this is a revenge narrative. Honestly, he didn't like Tony Elliott's playbook that was given to him, so he went to his offensive coordinator that he liked, who transferred from Virginia to NC State. Nice. Now they let him run the ball. That's where he does his magic. So Brennan Armstrong is an awesome play at 9,200, and he is one of my favorite plays to just play naked. NC State doesn't really throw to the same wide receiver over and over again. They don't have big target hogs. So I'm locking in Armstrong at 9,200 and just playing him by himself.
I dig it. And I was looking through a little bit of ownership that it's real loose, right? You can't really look at ownership in college like you can in NFL. But it's surprisingly down with him and probably just because of his price tag, right?
That surprises me. I would think he'd be like 60% at least.
It's high, but I think Green is higher.
Okay. Wow. I do like Green. We'll definitely get there, but if Armstrong's one of the lower owned quarterbacks,
there's only 4 games, so there's probably 3 decent quarterbacks, and all of them are going to be owned like 40-50%.
Yep,
right.
And that's fine, and that's why I like playing him naked. You don't really, we want him to run in 2 touchdowns. That's our goal here for Armstrong, and if he throws one more, gets 250 passing yards and 50 yards on the ground, we're looking at 26 points.
Boom, baby. I like it. Now, talking about ownership, Coach, one of the things that is unanimous in the articles I read leading up to this video is Mr. How do you say it? Gianti?
Oh, yeah. Yes, Gianti.
Something like 90 to 95%, but nobody is saying to fade him. They say you basically have to play.
Yes, and I could not agree more. Ashton Gianti is an absolute star. And if George Holani is playing, Boise State will throw him in there, which pisses me off because he's nowhere near the talent that Gianti has. And now that Holani went out, we're actually getting the full run of Gianti. He's proving how good he is. Week 1, I wanted to play him, and he put up like 37 points. But Holani started that game and ended up getting injured halfway through, and he still put up that amount. In 3 quarters, he did that. Nice. So he's a star, man. And this
a guy put up 40 points for 5,800.
That's why you can't fade him. He should be 7,500. He should be right up there with Braylon Allen. Right. So lock it in, man. Don't think really too much on that. And if he's gonna be that high owned, okay, let's say he does get injured. Well, now we're only dealing with 8% of the player pool that we actually have to fight against to get top prize.
Right, I'm down with it. All right, So let's talk about this wide receiving core. Now, you said you weren't interested in playing any of the NC State guys, so that rules out kind of this like top third.
Yes.
Well, one guy's out, of course.
And they're all overpriced. So I don't understand why, like, what DraftKings is seeing. I know Virginia's not a good defense, but they just don't throw the ball enough. And if they do, I mean, it ends up turning into Armstrong just tucking it and running. So there's no reason to play any of these wide receivers. If you really wanted to go down into the depths, where's he at?
I'm sorry, I was on the wrong page.
Skylar Bell at
Sean Gray.
Skylar Bell at 3,500. He's their tight end.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that's actually pulling in the most targets and receptions. If you needed somebody, he hasn't really had a touchdown yet, I don't believe, this season.
Mm-hmm.
But he is getting the most targets, and he's one of my favorite plays on Prize Picks. They only have him at 2.5 receptions, so I love him getting 3 to 4 here easily. I'm not throwing him in my DFS lineups, but if I did take one NC State guy, I think it would be Skylar Bell.
All right. Let's talk about this Air Force team. Now, triple option, run only. Is this an opportunity to throw a cheaper running back in or just an avoid situation?
So this is the hardest part about the slate danger.
Mm-hmm.
Air Force always has one guy that goes off for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nailing that guy, and it's really between quarterback, who is awesome, and Zach Larrier. It's great talent, super fast. Honestly, he's just solid all the way through. I have nothing bad to say about the guy. And if they do need to throw it, he actually does have a little bit of arm talent, which is uncommon for Air Force. I don't see them needing to throw it. San Jose State is terrible against the run.
Mm-hmm. So
he's a really good option at 7,400. I don't mind to play him naked, but if I was going to play one of the running backs, Burke has the highest upside for rushing yards. He's the most explosive back, Owen Burke, at 6,300. He's the one that
but it's not that big of a savings over putting Larrier in there.
No, it's not. And that's what it's going to be finding that singular play that you want. But then last week you had Michelle go off for 3 touchdowns. Right. And that was completely out of nowhere. He actually was the one that broke the slate at like 9% ownership. They weren't really giving him the ball, and then he comes and gets 28 attempts in his last game. So that's what I'm trying to dissect, of who's actually getting the ball. And I mean, they spread it out so much in this offense between Eldridge, Michelle, and Burke and Larrier. I mean, they're going to run the ball 50 times in this game. It's just who's going to get the run.
Right. So my question would be, is San Jose State going to score? Are they going to keep the pressure on? Is Air Force going to have to actually pretend they're going to throw the ball so it keeps the ball in the hands of Larrier a little bit more for some more options? Does it go that way, or are we not considering San Jose?
No, I definitely think that San Jose State can score. Cordero is a solid quarterback. Honestly, I like his talent. He's got rushing upside too. He's got a special place in my heart. He was in that $25,000 lineup last year, naked.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I definitely like him. And it was on a Friday night slate that I played him, and he was the last, one of the last games of the whole slate. So I will have – oh, here's my dog. Jumped right in my lap.
Hey, Popeyes.
I will have a little bit of exposure to him, but if I'm targeting anybody on San Jose State, it's going to be Nick Nash, the wide receiver.
I like that.
Week 1, he was my darling, came in at 2% and ended up with 3 touchdowns, like 98 yards. One of our guys on FanDuel won a good chunk of change because of that play. So I definitely like me some Nick Nash.
Are we going to slap him in this lineup right here?
Air Force is a good defense, though. I don't see a ton of points. I mean, if they score 17, I would be happy with that. I think Air Force is kind of sneaky good. And they have been for a few years, and they just put up points, man. They control the clock. They take the ball out of the opposite team's hands. And I think that San Jose State's going to be down early and be forced to pass. So I like a wide receiver, but I don't necessarily – I'm not going all in on Cordero because I don't think he's going to have the ball enough.
Gotcha. All right, let's talk about one of the other higher-owned players on the slate. He is a running back by the name of Allen. I have seen quite a few sharp people over in the Twitterverse, the X-verse, if you will, that are saying fade him or play Malusi instead.
Yeah, I see a path to both. He'll be in my main lineup. It's hard to fade a guy that has 3 touchdown upside. But Malusi is really good. He just is. He's not like the vulture running back that they give carries to because Braylon's tired. It's because he's actually a very talented running back. So I don't mind going to 6,000 and playing Ches Malusi. He has massive play upside as well. He broke a 89-yard touchdown already this season. He's got breakaway speed just like Allen does. So if you wanted to pivot, I have no issue going Malusi. I see Allen because Purdue is a team that always keeps it close, especially in a home matchup. I think Wisconsin's going to want to just control the clock early, and I could see it just be Allen Malusi. And honestly, if you wanted to fade Gianti, you could go Allen and Malusi in the same lineup. Like that would be a way to differentiate yourself. And they've had a game this season where they both put up over 20 fantasy points. So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibilities for them both to have really good games.
I like it. With Houston out at NC State, any interest in the backups there?
One more time, the NC State Virginia game.
Houston, yeah, the Houston, the running back, is out.
Yes.
Any interest in his cheaper counterparts?
I mean, you could make a case for it, but nothing excites me. I think the best way to attack this is through Wisconsin, Gianti, and then Air Force running backs. If you really want to be different, Devin Maccabee or even Tyrone Tracy. Tracy has 3 rushing touchdowns on the season for Purdue. Maccabee has been struggling a little bit with keeping the ball in his hands. He's fumbled twice already this season, and he struggled with that last year. So he's the more talented back, definitely is better in the open field. Well, not really. He's not better than Tracy in the open field. They just don't know how to get Tracy into the open field properly. Maccabee is the bruiser that kind of is the early down back, but their offensive line's pretty bad. What I see here, Danger, I'm not touching NC State outside of Armstrong. It's 100% Wisconsin, Air Force, and then Gianti. If you wanted to be cute, I could see a path to Tracy or Maccabee, but even Tracy's a little bit too high for me. He just doesn't have the volume.
Right.
If Purdue ends up taking the lead, I mean, Maccabee could be the slate breaker because he would be one of the reasons why they're taking the lead. He could end up with 4 receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown and then 80 and 1 on the ground and have, 24 points as one of the lower owned running backs on the slate.
All right.
It's an option.
All right. And so Michelle had the 3. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I've got 4 lineups tonight, Coach. 4. So maybe we'll play the Air Force roulette.
What did you end up putting in? I can't read on that second running back.
Oh, I put Armstrong, Gianti, Allen, Nash so far.
Okay. All right. I like that build so far.
All right. Let's just look at Superflex just for fun here. We've already kind of ruled out Mordecai. Larrier's kind of in play, not really into Cordero, but Green. How about Green at 6,800?
Love Taylor Green.
Card was the only other guy I was even looking at.
Yeah, what they're trying to do with Green, though, is they're trying to turn him into a little bit more of a passer than a runner, and he does his damage on the ground. I think in this game, San Diego State's a pretty tough defense, and we saw DJU break away and get a little over 40 yards and a touchdown last week against him. If Green gets into double-digit carries, he truly does have 100-yard upside as a quarterback. And the only other quarterback on the slate that has that is Larrier. So that's why Green is getting so much love, is because he's so fast that he could break away a 99-yard touchdown. Like, he's got breakaway speed as a quarterback.
I like it. What about Card?
No, that'd be a big tournament only. And if you're going Card, you would need to double stack him with Burks and Yassine, or Burks and Sheffield. Even Claire's getting some love, but I don't know, man. I don't. Card is solid, but I think Wisconsin's just a pretty decent team all around, and they run the ball so much that Purdue's not going to have the ball in their hands that often.
Gotcha. So we're primarily trying to fit in Armstrong and Green, sprinkle in Larrier or Card in there.
Yep, it's Armstrong, Larrier, and Green for me. Yeah. I'm not really going to get cute. I don't see other quarterbacks. They don't have the same upside. In college football, you're looking for the rushing upside for quarterbacks. And the other quarterbacks have a little bit. Mordecai ran in a touchdown last week, but he doesn't. That's not his first look. It's only if everything breaks down. And same thing with Card. He's not a big rusher, but last week they were down early. Goodness gracious. Garrett Schrader absolutely torched them on the ground. So if Mordecai decides to run, he realized that he could because Garrett Schrader went off for 100 yards and 4 touchdowns against him last week.
Nice. All right. So for the sake of this dollar lineup build,
yep.
Let's put Larrier in there and then not worry about which Air Force running back we're going to play.
I like it.
And so we've got him in there. We need 2 wide receivers in the flex. We have got 4,800 left, so we got to dig deep. Is this a spot you put Bell in because he's so cheap?
If I'm going to go that low, I'm actually going to play – he is cheap, but since you're not playing the quarterback, I would go with Mark Redmond for San Diego State. Really big body. Seeing a pretty good target share in this offense. And, I mean, he even had some production against a really good Oregon State defense. And Boise State has been torched through the air. I know they played Washington, so their stats look a lot worse than they are. Washington's one of the best passing attacks in all of college football. But Redmond's going to see the targets. And if we think that Boise State goes up, which I do with Green and Gianti, I think Redmond makes for a really solid play. He hasn't found...
Before lineups I held to the place before we got to talk today, all 4 had Redmond in it. If that makes you feel worse, I don't know.
No, it's good. I think you're on the right path there. I mean, he's just a big dude that really can go up and get it, and he gets a really good target share and like snap count. He's not just like this interchangeable piece. He's pretty much in there on rushing and passing plays. So
I had Redmond and Gianti in every lineup. They were the only ones.
And they'll be higher owned, but on these slates, like, with 4 games, everybody that watches college football is going to like a lot of the same plays. You just need to find 1 or 2 that makes it different, and that's going to win you the tournament. That's really all it takes.
I dig it. All right, so we got to stay under 5,000. You got Yassine right there at 5,000. Then we have to find somebody below him, though, if we go that way.
Okay. So just 5K. And have we used our flex yet? No, we have not. So go ahead and throw in Yassine. I'm going to make this lineup really quick. Just give me like 2 seconds. Sure. If you're going to fill some airtime while I'm. So we got Armstrong. We got Allen. We got Gianti. We have got. Where else did we go? Nick Nash, 5,300. We went Redmond. And we also went with Superflex. You went Larrier, correct?
I did went Larrier. We can change that.
That's all right. No, I see him having a big game. I really do.
I feel like that has a shot to be a decent scoring game.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that if everybody's going to the green side of the ball, if he decides not to run, then Larrier, I mean, you're getting him to run the ball. They're an option offense. So, That's not a question. It's not going to be, is Larrier going to run the ball? He's still going to touch it 15-plus times in this game. All right, wide receiver. Let's throw in Yassine at 5,000. Definitely like him. I think Purdue goes down early and they'll be forced to pass like they did last week. He saw 14 targets in that game, pulled down, I believe, 9 receptions for just over 100 yards. So he is the target monster in this offense. I believe that Burks is 100% the big play guy, and he's got the downfield talent to make these crazy catches. But Yassine is just kind of that tried and true. Wisconsin, they're not going to give Purdue a lot of time to throw the ball, so they're going to be looking for those checkdowns. So he's kind of the Puka Nacua of Purdue, if you want to put it that way.
All right, so how do we get cheap? We got Kobe Pace down there.
Okay.
Who else can we get?
Yep. If you wanted to get cute and could be completely different, John Elridge for Air Force. He is the outside stretch player for Air Force. He has this just amazing breakaway speed. I wish they would give him the ball more. They run a lot of sweeps to him around the goal line, and then they run a few on their red zone. And I've seen him last year break away for 60-plus yard touchdowns multiple times. Even last week, he found the end zone in a blowout. So he's definitely in play at 4,900. That is getting a little cute, but I could see a path to him getting 14 to 20 points in this at 4,900, which is super solid. If you wanted to go with a pass catcher for Air Force, they only throw the ball like 7 times a game, but Jared Rosnos has really big play upside. Every time he catches the ball, it's over 50 yards. So if we think that game shoots out and for some reason San Diego State takes the lead early and maybe Nash pulls down a couple touchdowns, Rosner's is a incredible tournament play, but that is something you might find him at like 0.3% owned.
Well, I mean, this dollar lineup is that 5,000 entry.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of need somebody like that to be really different. Outside of that, Mekhi Shaw for San Diego State, if we think that they're going to go down to Boise quickly, then Mekhi Shaw is their number 1 wide receiver. He definitely runs the most routes for this offense outside of Redmond, who's tight end. So they're not really going to pull away from each other's production. I think that with them being a home favorite, they're going to try to run the ball quickly and control the clock. But I do like Mekhi Shaw if we think Boise State comes out early and takes like a 14-point lead. He didn't play last week against Oregon State, so he's got fresh legs. I think he is the best and most talented wide receiver on that entire crew. Outside of that, I mean, you could make a case for these Virginia running backs. Really, Kobe Pace last week, they had a perfectly designed pass play early in the first quarter for him. If they don't design a play for him like that, he doesn't score and his stats look terrible. But maybe they design more plays like that for him because it works. So that's another option for you.
We didn't talk anything about the Virginia team. If we're gonna, play the opposite end or stack that game.
And I mean, honestly, one of my favorite receivers on the slate, or both of them, are Washington and Malachi Fields. With this build, we can't really get them. But if you wanted to, bump out Allen and play Maccabee or Malusi, then, we can make a little bit more balanced build, because I think we're reaching here a little bit in this low range. And I see points. I mean, Virginia last week, to give you some context, Danger, they threw the ball, I think it was a little over 35 times, Calandria, and it went to 3 players: Malik Washington, Malachi Fields, Kobe Pace, and Paris Jones. So 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. They only target 2 players. You don't get that in college football. So you have to like somebody. If you think they're playing from behind, which I do, I would play if Calandria's in. He absolutely loves why am I blanking? Malik Washington. And I mean, they just design these like gadget plays to him. NC State is such a tough defense. I think they're going to need to run screens to Washington. They're going to need to run slip screens. They're going to have to do like quick, underneath routes that Malik Washington has the ability to do. And if Musket is in, he is a better like game manager, but Calandria is kind of a baller. He's been fun to watch these last 2 games. So I hope it's Calandria, because he just looks to 2 players, and it's Washington and Fields.
Nice. All right. So let's go back to the drawing board real quick for one more for fun. We got Armstrong. Let's go green this time. Let's put Washington in there. Let's stay away from Allen. Let's put Jonte in there. You got to play him. 90% owned. It's fine. Even if he fails, you're with the field.
Yep.
It's all good. We skip Allen. Who do we go to if we skip Allen? Do we go down to Malusi? What about Robinson at SJSU?
I mean, if we're not playing the Air Force quarterback, we got to play an Air Force running back, because that's where we think the production's going. So I would play Mitchell at 5,500. Coming off a 3-touchdown game, obviously he proved to the coaches he knows how to punch it in. Like, you're going to feed him the rock. They gave it to him 28 times.
Dig it. Do we go back to Nash in that game? How confident are you with him?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you got to do that everywhere. So what do we have left for salary there?
We got 5,500, 2 wide receivers in the flex.
5,500, 2 receivers and a flex. Let's go with Burks then, since we went with Yassine and the other one. Burks is the big play guy for Purdue. I think he's like 5,400, 53. Yep. So he's right. Same as Nick Nash.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely like Burks there. And then what does that leave us with?
We got 5,700 for a wide receiver and flex.
Okay. Flex, I would go with. Oh, man, dude, it's so hard to play these Boise State wide receivers. You just never know where it's going. Stephon Cobbs is a solid talent. McAllister's solid, but I really just San Diego State is pretty good, man. Like their defense is better than people think. They just kind of had a tough schedule to start off their season, so.
We could double stack up Washington and Fields.
Yes, but if we did that, don't you think we would want like Musket or Calandria? Because we would need multiple touchdowns from them for that to pay off.
We could double stack Yassine and swap out Green.
You know what? Let's do that. Go Yassine, Burks. Try Card. I mean, we have to think that Card's going to be the one.
69 in the flex. Nice.
69.
We can get everybody we want except for Allen. Literally anyone.
Because that'd be a nice bring back spot there with Allen.
Well, we could if we drop some salary somewhere, but
you could also just go Malusi, and then you are completely different because you've got 900 left in your bank account.
Yep.
Which there is absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. I actually recommend it on these type of slates if you can make it work. So I think that lineup has just as much talent as the first one. It's just looks a little bit different. I don't know. I kind of, that one's pretty interesting. I don't have many Card lineups, but if you want to double stack Purdue wide receivers, I have no issue doing it.
All right, man. I absolutely dig it. All right, well, I'll take the rest of my questions off air. Thanks for your time, buddy. And I will put together your players and drop them in the Discord. Bye-bye.
All right. Sounds good, man. I appreciate you, Danger.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Hang out with me for just a little bit after.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.